What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Cabin Checks. And I got kind of a personal revelation for you today. This is something that I was thinking about literally just yesterday, and I jotted down a couple of ideas that I had around this topic. And I think it's going to be really, really impactful for you. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you get value from this video, please share it when we get to the end here with somebody else who's going to be able to get value from this as well. But I was thinking about actually a sermon that Eric Thomas did. And I was listening to him preach, and he was talking about the concept of battles and blessings. And he said that oftentimes in life we get those two things confused. We think that blessings are good things that happen to us that are almost undeserved, right? It's just something that happens to us and it's a blessing and it's great, it's amazing, and things just work out for us. And it's when life is a little bit easier, right? It's those shiny gold moments of life that's just like, yes, this is so smooth, so easy. This is just working out exactly how I'd hoped and planned that it would. And then the battles are where we're tested. The battles are when we encounter that adversity and that opposition, where we encounter that resistance to whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish in life. And those battles are where we test ourselves. And those battles are where we find out who we really are. But what he said was that we confuse the two because we think that battles are bad and blessings are good. And we've all heard this concept and this idea that, well, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, right? Meaning, the battle is actually a pruning process. It is a necessary journey that you must go through to mold and form the person that you need to be in order to receive the blessing that God has for you. That was more or less, obviously, a very, very summarized version of what E.T. was preaching on, but more or less that is the idea that, look, God can't even give you what he wants to give you until you become the person who's capable of receiving it and not throwing it all away and not messing it all up. Like, you have to be able to, one, recognize the blessing that's coming your way, and two, be able to actually do something with it and apply it into your life and the lives of those around you. And so sometimes we're not quite ready for that, and so we have to go through a process that involves a little bit of pain, a little pressure, a little heat, a little resistance, so that we can grow through that, so that we will then be in a position to receive the blessing on the other side of that. And so he said, stop running from battles. And as he said that, man, I just thought it was so funny because I thought about myself in the gym. And I thought, it's crazy that in the gym, I chase the battles. Like not only am I okay with going through the battle, not only am I willing to accept the battle, right? But I actually go seek it. It's not that, okay, cool, it came to me, fine, let's do this, I'm ready for it. No. I seek the battle. I go look for the battle. I go find the battle. Wherever it is, I find it and I go to it because I know that that is the pathway to growth, both physically and metaphorically, right? Because I know that if I go into the gym and I push myself and I seek out the hardest exercise and I seek out the hardest way to structure the workout and I seek out the least rest period and I seek out how I can push myself the hardest, I know that I'm going to grow from that the most, both physically, of course, because I'm trying to stimulate some hypertrophy, go watch the Flex Fridays, learn what's up. But then also, mentally, I'm trying to battle harden myself and get myself trained and used to a proper stress response, which is, it doesn't matter that I feel this way, I keep going because this is what I'm here to do, and this physical pain is not going to distract me from the mental commitment that I have already made. And so I'm trying to get myself battle ready by going and training and seeking out this adversity, seeking out the hard time, seeking out something that's going to stretch me and push me to my very limit. That's the point of me going to the gym. And I understand that. And I live by that every single day. The crazy thing is, I don't do that in any other area of my life. And I started thinking about, well, why? Why? And I think that the reality is, one, I've just got more time under the bar. You know, I've been doing this athletics thing since I was 10 years old, and it's a part of my identity. Like I genuinely believe I'm never somebody that can get overweight, and I don't say that to, body shame anybody or anything like that. I'm just saying that it is so central to my identity. Like, Brandon Burns is a guy who is in incredibly good shape, and he can do flips and defy gravity and do crazy stuff. Like, that's who I am, and without that, I'm not saying I wouldn't be the same person, but it is a central part of who I am, and I will fight to protect that. So that's one side of it. And I think the other side of it is I've just learned to enjoy it. I've learned to enjoy sitting in that pain a little bit and feeling that growth process. And when I say feel it, I don't mean physically. And although you do feel it physically, I mean sitting there in that struggle and that pain and knowing that I'm able to push through that and going to that limit every single time. I've just come to enjoy that process because I know that not many people on this planet are willing to push themselves to that point, and I know what the rewards are going to be. I don't know specifically. I can't tell you like, oh, here's X, Y, and Z, exactly what's going to happen from that, but I know just this spiritual like feeling that I get. I know it's worth it. I know I'm going to be able to. This is the. I don't want to get preachy, but the core story of the Bible and the whole story of sacrificing your only son for everlasting life for everybody else who doesn't deserve it. The whole point of that story, Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this, is he who makes the greatest sacrifice gets the biggest reward. Meaning, if I'm willing to push harder than anybody else, if I'm willing to sacrifice more than anybody else, if I'm willing to tap into a piece of me that is just so willing to suffer and sacrifice that most people aren't willing to ever get there, that's going to put me ahead, right? And even though I'm not sure how that's going to manifest in life, whether that means I'm going to make more money or I'm going to be in better shape or like whatever that looks like, which I think is going to be both. The specifics aren't important. I just know that that's a universal law of nature and that that's how the world works. So I enjoy that process. I've trained myself to like that. But the question is, when I'm having an argument with another person, why don't I do the same thing? Why don't I treat it the same way? When I have a challenge in a relationship, why don't I seek out the battle? And I don't mean be super aggressive and go fight them. I mean seek out the battle as in have the hard conversation. Why don't I seek out opportunities where I can overcome my ego? Because that's a big problem for me. That's a big challenge for me. So why don't I seek out opportunities for that rather than trying to protect it and avoid those situations altogether? Why don't I seek out opportunities for me to humble myself and serve? Why don't I seek out opportunities for me to have difficult conversations with people I might disagree with? Why don't I seek out consciously these opportunities to expose myself to the adversity and opposition that is required for growth and development? Why don't I do that? And I think the answer for me is that I had this subconscious belief that if I was doing that in one area of my life, then that's good enough for every area of my life. If I'm that guy who's pushing myself every day, who's stretching my limits every single day, who's seeking out the battle every single day in the gym, surely that transfers over to everything else, doesn't it? And the revelation that I had recently was no, it's not enough. And no, that's not how that works at all. The way that it works is whatever you want to get better at. I had a gymnastics coach one time, not one time, I shouldn't say that. I had a gymnastics coach my entire career. He was the guy that I started with. His name's Ken Day. He used to run a gymnastics facility out of Madison, Alabama, and to this day he's the best coach I've ever had, not because of his technical knowledge, but because of his personal skills and the way that he was able to serve as an additional father figure for me and teach me so much about not just the sport, but about life. And I went to him one day because I've always had a hard time with cardio, right? Got asthma, sinuses, allergies, like everything that has to do with breathing is just messed up with me. And so I've always had a hard time with my cardiovascular endurance. And the floor exercise, where tumbling and gymnastics, is a ton of cardio. It's like the one event where cardio is really important. And I went to him one day and I said, man, I don't know what to do. Do I need to go swim more? Do I need to run laps? Do I need to, like, how can I improve my cardio? Because at the end of my floor routine, I'm gassed. And he said, Brandon, what you need to do is more of whatever you want to get good at. So if you want to get good at floor routines and you want your floor routine to be easier for you, you need to do more floor routines. And it was like mind blown, right? Like it just never crossed my mind to practice what I want to get good at. Crazy, right? And I think that when we apply that to this example, what that's really saying is just because you have hardened yourself and battle readied yourself and tested yourself and pushed yourself in one aspect of life does not mean that you are a well-rounded being yet. It means that you have the capacity to be, and it means that you understand the requirements and the prerequisites of becoming that well-rounded human being, but it doesn't mean that you're there yet. It means that you need to deliberately practice being the person you want to be and pushing those limits in every single area. And it's also not good enough to rest on yesterday's performance. This is another breakthrough that I had. It's not good enough for me to say, well, look at who I am. Look at the receipts that I have from my life. Cut from the gymnastics team 4 times in 5 years. All this adversity, all this resistance to trying to accomplish my dreams and goals, and I still stayed loyal. I still stayed faithful over a few. I still was showing up to practice every single day, working my butt off. I still did what I said I was going to do, which was put forth 120% effort into my goal, my mission, my dream, my desire. And sometimes I find myself resting on that. Sometimes I find myself resting on, yesterday I had a crazy workout and I pushed myself so hard. Sometimes I find myself resting on that, rather than saying, bro, that was 4 or 5 years ago. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, yeah, you did that and you were that person. Are you still that person? Yes, you were that person and you do have receipts and you can prove who you really used to be, but can you prove who you really are right here today in this moment? I know you used to take cold showers every day 3 years ago. Can you still do it today? Are you still consistent? Are you still willing to put yourself in environments of adversity? Are you still willing to put yourself in environments that push you and stretch you? Are you still willing to go through that pain? Are you still willing to make the sacrifice? Are you still willing to recommit every single day? And that was a breakthrough for me, because I really thought that I was that guy who was just so tough because of the things that I've been through. And what I had to realize is that is not, it's not a historical record. It is a commitment that has to be reaffirmed every single day. Just because I was a tough guy yesterday doesn't mean I'm a tough guy today. Just because I was a high performer yesterday and had high standards yesterday doesn't mean that I got high standards today unless I enforce them today. And so we've got to become multidimensional. We've got to become committed in real time, in the present moment, not just resting on our past accomplishments and our past character. That's what it really is. It's not our past accomplishments, it's our past character. That's not enough. We've got to get to a point where we are consciously, deliberately, intentionally trying to grow every single day. And I think that if we do that, we're going to make a lot of people proud, including the man upstairs, including us, including everybody around us. I think we're going to be able to live a life that's worthy of what we were created for. So that's my time. I don't want to get preachy today. That's my time for Cabin Checks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And if you got value from this, please do me a huge favor and share this with somebody else who you believe can benefit from this message as well. That's the mission. I mean, I don't care what happens with this channel, with my career. If this can touch somebody in a time of need and help take them to another level, that's all I need out of the deal. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next episode of Cabin Checks. Peace.